the prompt of the story was, tell us a story where race has mattered on campus to you, a personal incident involving race on the Cornell campus. And we went around, and some students chose not to participate. Some of those students were white. Some of those students were students of color. Some of the students were crying at the end. Some of the students were raging at the end. And some of the students of color felt that this was the only time that this had been acknowledged in a Cornell classroom, that something outside the classroom had affected them, and that they were bringing that into the classroom. And they were grateful for that. Some of the students of color were furious, and they felt like they shouldn't have to be having these conversations. And why were we living in a racist society that to the extent that it's impacting their education? Some of the white students felt implicated because they were in fraternities or sororities. Some of them felt implicated because they felt that they were doing something, but perhaps not enough. And the goal of that exercise is not to have everyone on the same page. That's not the goal of a story circle. The goal of a story circle is to recognize that we are diverse individuals and we have diverse responses to any given situation, and that all of our stories matter. And that, for me, was an incredibly powerful class and an incredibly powerful exercise. And I think sometimes we do just have to stop the traffic and say, what's going on in our climate, whether it's the national climate, whether it's the campus climate. Usually those things are in tandem. And how can we find a way, talking about an inclusive classroom, how can we find a way to include those events in our teaching in a way that's organic, that doesn't necessarily hijack the conversation, but moves it forward? So story circles, that's what we were doing. We were learning this technique of story circles, and I think students found that incredibly valuable to see the range of situations in which you could apply that technique.